I have now brought you to the very old Havelis which are made by the business families in this area. Just to let you know, it's a completely different kind of architecture and famous only to the Shekhawati area of Rajasthan in India. You will see this beautifully painted walls, doors, the wood panels are all very old. This Haveli dates back to 1870 and is known as the Seth. Seth means business family. Seth Arjun Das Haveli. This was made by him. This Haveli is still owned by the same family, and presently we are very grateful to Mr. Mohan Goenka, who has been instrumental in converting this into a bit of a heritage museum, explaining how the business families lived and what were the things they used to use in those times. This side is the depiction of the business Seth himself sitting there with his staff, the people who looked after his accounts. They were known as Munims, and other people, the servant sitting here with this old fan which was pulled by the rope. So it depicted what the fan system was in those years. If you notice the beautiful doors in this area, and as I said earlier, the small windows, the small doors, there were different reasons. In the fort also, the doors were small because in case an enemy was entering your room, he had to enter his head first so that you were secure and you could take his head off rather than letting him come in with his weapons. So, but here it was different. Here you will see the ornament of the decorations of the Havelis, the beautiful wooden structure which you see now. People are using iron. In those days this was all wood, beautifully carved, all hand. I have to say this to you, that in those days all this work has been done by local artisans and all by hand. The intersection of the ring. Photograph of Arjun Das who built this Haveli, and Mohan Goenka, who presently is looking after this Haveli. Of this Haveli, and I'd like you to see these most beautiful paintings, wall frescoes on the walls here. Every village in Shekhawati, I would say, has more than 50 to 100 old Havelis of this nature, and hopefully we are all trying our best, we are doing our best to try and save all this culture, this art, and keep it alive. It's a bit difficult in times like this, but yes, we are on the job, and we have the Government of India and the state governments helping us in this project. If you see the paintings, majority of the paintings are religious. In the Havelis, you will find them mostly all religious, or they would be warriors on horseback, or the rulers of our families who were there in those times, their depiction, their photographs. And thirdly, in the rooms inside, you will find romantic stories of couples, well-known, would be depicted inside. So these were the three main subjects: religious, battle, war, and romance were the paintings which were depicting all the scenes which you see here. Even here, all handmade wood, iron, beautifully done, and we are still trying to find artists who can revive this art and keep it going the same way as it was in those days. All the old instruments, utensils, the kitchen here has been set up as the way it used to be. The rooms have been set up as it used to be, the way in those days of how people lived. They have been putting the things like that. We'll quickly go around and show you how things are. We are now at the very famous temple known as the Satyanarain temple, which is an incarnation of Lord Krishna. This temple was also created by the Goenka family, and it was made in 1911, not very old, but you can still see the architecture, the paintings, Ganesh on the door before we enter the temple, as I had said earlier, and people in the village have a lot of respect for this temple and visit it very regularly every morning and evening for prayers. We are now entering the temple, the inside courtyard, and as you see, this is the place where people come for worship. We have bells in every temple for respect to the goddess. This is the Shiv temple. As you can see, the Shivling and the snake and water dripping always on the Shivling. This is the main side of Satyanarayan, which is incarnation of Lord Krishna and his consort Radha. As you can see, the temple very beautifully made with the silver shell on the temple side, at the back also. Is of course very famously known as the agriculture god in India. There is no well which is constructed even today without an image or a temple of his. Here is also the same as I had mentioned in the fort, the dholas, we call them the round circular areas, the courtyard, the doors, everything is in the same style, and most of the time when we are restoring old buildings, we like to keep all this tradition, keep it going as it is or as it was. Of course, it's a bit difficult finding very good labor, but I'm sure we will finally succeed in saving the Shekhawati from destruction of these beautiful Havelis, buildings, wall frescoes and temples. How still from the olden times prayers and offerings of the temple are given to people who visit the temple by the priest. The tradition is still the same. You come in, you pay respects to the temples, and then you sit next to the priest. Always in your right hand, that is the leaf of tulsi,